bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here. I got time. It's clear to see from up here. The world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We're meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. You and me, we're meant to be outdoors, forever free. You and me, meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
Hello, cousins, pilots, virtual pilots. Today is World Pilots Day. I think that includes virtual pilots, but we'll just say it does. So happy World Pilots Day. Also, happy Tuesday night. We are sitting already here in the Cessna 172 at Prescott's Ernest A. Love Field for our night flight down to Phoenix Intercontinental or Phoenix Sky Harbor International, at which point we're going to do a touch and go, and then we're going to head on back. We're kind of doing a loop. We're going to head a little bit, almost due south, and then kind of come in just a little bit from the west into Phoenix, and then almost going to go straight north out of Phoenix to come back here to Prescott. So that is our route tonight. So a few little things here. Remember, thumbs up because you are amazing. Go out, tell somebody else that they're amazing. Put a smile on their face. Also, click that like button to activate the algorithm. Here we go. The algorithm back here. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't. I'll remind you at the end also for that. But yeah, we're gonna jump right into it here with a cold start on the Cessna 172. So let's go ahead and get started. I am playing on the Xbox, so I have a controller and a keyboard. So in case you are wondering about the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 on the Xbox, it is on Game Pass, which is a whole nother thing. So all right, let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and turn off the yokes just because they kind of get in the way of our pressing buttons and so on. So we're going to come down here, and right over here is the battery. So we're going to turn on the battery, which gives us at least some lights. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and turn up the dash. There we go. Let's go ahead and turn on the lights. We can manipulate these once we get started and everything. So there we go. So now we can actually see see what we're doing here. So let's go ahead and get this ready and primed up for engine start and flight and all of that. We'll go ahead and get it started, warmed up, and then we'll go ahead and listen to weather here. So let's go ahead and get everything started up. So battery is on. We are operating the aircraft. Let's go ahead and turn the beacon on. And now let's go ahead and prime the pump here, full rich. So we'll go ahead and give a little bit of primer there. There we go. We are above 5,000 feet here, or right at it. So we'll go ahead, per the handbook, we'll go ahead and pull some of this mixture back here and lean it up. We'll go ahead and give some throttle. We'll go ahead and make sure the parking brake is set. And now let's go ahead and crank this sucker. Here we go. Clear prop. Nice. Nice start. Nice start. Go ahead and bring it back here to 1,000 RPMs. Let it warm up. Like I said, we can contact weather. We can do all this, not contact weather, but we can go ahead and listen to the weather and all that kind of stuff as we get this going. So there we go. Everything is looking, I like what we've got going on so far. Let's go ahead and, let's see, what do I want to turn down here? I want to turn down some of these. Yeah, I want to turn down that one right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the alternator going. We've got good amps. Let's go ahead and get the avionics going. Everything is looking good. I went ahead and I programmed in the flight plan for GPS, but we are going to use also VORs. So we'll use the Drake VOR and the Phoenix VOR. That is just the avionics cycling through their tests. So everything is good there. Let's go ahead and call up weather. You can see it's a beautiful night right now. Beautiful late evening here. Oh, look, there's a plane up there flying. Very cool. We'll be able to actually see the planes a lot easier on this flight because we're not out here in the daylight, so we'll be able to see the planes flying over and all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and bring up ATC. Let's go ahead and talk to or listen to automatic weather. Automatic infrared.
Prescott Airport information.
Ooh, nice night, nice night. 2603.
Wind 260
We'll get the altimeter.
Visibility 9er. Sky condition clear. Temperature 15.
Right.
Dew point 13.
Runway 21.
Altimeter 29er decimal 9er 2. ILS runway 21 left and visual runway 21
All
right
right.
in use. Landing and departing runway 21 left and runway 21 right. VFR aircraft say
Can we
direction
get-
of flight. All aircraft read
There we
back
go.
hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact. You have
All right,
Quebec.
cool. So
Prescott
So,
Airport
runway
information,
21.
Quebec 0200 Zulu. Wind 260 at tree.
we'll go ahead
Visibility
turn to ground so we get that off. So we're 29292 here on the altimeter, so we're right at 5,000 feet. So when we do our run up, we'll need to go ahead and lean out the mixture because the handbook says we need to do that above 5,000 feet. Everything is looking good here. Oil pressure, temperature, everything looks good. When you start the engine, this time I didn't call it out, but you kind of look over real quick and make sure you got oil pressure and stuff. And we had oil pressure, so all things was good. I looked at that corner of my eye, and that was there. Everything is looking good. No worries, that happens. I don't know what's been happening quite a bit here lately. All right, let's go ahead and make sure we are at about 306. Let's set our heading bug here. Oh, not a hit. There we go. Let's set. So 306. There we go. We got that set. We're going to be taking off on runway 21, so we can go ahead and set the heading bug at 21, just so we know. So there we go. Just as a little reminder of which way we need to go, right, to get to the runway. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be departing to the south. So that is how we are going to be going over to or down to Phoenix. All right, one of the things now we can do is we can go ahead and switch over here. So Drake is 114.1. You know, when you fly out of these places, you can look this up like on Sky Vector or something like that. So we're going to dial in 114.1 right there. Go ahead and switch it on over. We're already in nav mode. So the GPS is on here, so you can see the red line right here on our Garmin 530. So that would give you at least some idea, but that's actually the return leg right here. So we need to come down here to flight plan, load up the flight plan that I put in there, let it cycle. There it is. bring it up, and then we're going to actually fly right down to Carlo is actually the first leg. So there's a little bit of a bug, if you want to say it, or something like that in here. So there we go. So now we're going to Carlo and all that, but we're going to use the nav aid. So we're going to fly out at about 168 outbound. So we're going to fly basically, we're going to take off, we're going to basically really fly straight out until we hit that radial, and then we'll turn to 168, and then that'll take us down to our first intersection, which is Carlo. And then down here we will go ahead and plug in on this nav 115.6. I actually might need to look up 115.6. Let me go ahead and come over here. I don't have an OBS where I can share my screen right now, so but I'm going to bring up Sky Vector here and just make sure and confirm that Phoenix, yes, is 115.6, and then we're going to be coming on a 321 outbound radial. So what that means is that 115.6 will flip that over to 115.6, and then this one right here will set to 321 at the bottom. So 321 right there. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to fly the outbound radial. We're going to fly outbound from takeoff until this right here centers. Then we'll fly that radial down until this one centers, at which time then we'll switch over and then we'll go inbound into Phoenix. And so that's why we've done that. We'll do visual. I think it's going to be good weather down in Phoenix, so we can check ATIS once we get down there. So I think it's going to be good weather, so we don't need to worry about any type of instrument or anything like that. We could use the ILS to help guide us, but at night the good thing is that once you have visuals on the field, it's easy to see the airport, right, because of all the lights. So everything looking good here. You can see, yeah, I like what we've got. We can come down here and go ahead and preset our autopilot. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and turn the autopilot on. We'll set it to, we're going to be heading, as you can see, 168, so that's to the east. So that's odds plus 500. There are some mountains that we got to go over first, so we'll go to climb out to 9,500 feet. We can go ahead and set this already. We'll set it to 500 right now. So at least that's preset. Now we can turn it off. So there's that preset and ready to go. So I think we're pretty much ready to go. We're going to be going for, I don't know if we'll do VFR flight following yet. So, but we can go ahead and get the transponder on. We can go ahead and just so we can all see here. So let's go ahead and turn on all of our anti-smash. Let's go ahead and turn on taxi and landing, get as much lights as we can. So this is what we look like now with all of our lights on. All right, so we'll climb. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna climb straight out, and then we'll actually make a turn to the south. So that's what we're really going to do. So we can make a determination. I don't know if we want to request straight out or to the south. I think we're really going to be departing to the south. So let's go ahead and ask ATC for clearance here to taxi to runway 21 to the south. So here we go.
Prescott Ground, Cessna November Tree, 6 Uniform Mike with Quebec request taxi for takeoff south departure.
Cessna November Tree 6 Uniform Mike taxi to and hold short of runway 21 left via taxiway Alpha. Contact tower on 125 tree when ready.
All right. So we'll acknowledge that.
Taxiing hold short.
Since I have Sky Vector up, we're at a new parking spot. We're actually right over by where the fixed based operator was or is now. Not when I was there, but where it is now. So I'm looking at the it says a little short of Alpha. This is not right, so it's not Alpha. So this is a little wacky. So we acknowledged it. We'll leave it there. And so now let's get ready to go. So parking brake is off. taxiing. So the looks of it here, I think we're gonna have a taxiway. Follow this. Here we go. Should take us all the way down to 21 left. Looking good. That's it. Now we're taxiing here. We can go ahead and get rid of the ATC menu for now. Now usually in kind of in the real world, we really wouldn't taxi with so many lights on the dash. It actually ruins your night vision. But I've got other things. That's why I really like wearing these sunglasses here, because with the lights in the room, it actually helps out. I can kind of understand now why, like Dr. Disrespect wears sunglasses. It really doesn't hurt too much your view of the game, what I see on the screen, but it really helps with those, with the lights that I have here for the green screen. It's pretty funny. So, but everything's looking good. So we'll just taxi on down here. Get up here, do a run up. Turn on the transponder. Turn off the taxi light, and away we'll go. Oh, there's a rogue taxi light there. So here we are taxiing. Everything is looking good. I'm not really sure what's happening right down here. It seems as if we have lost our taxi lights. So definitely some weird thing has happened here with the modeling. But we still have got the... we don't want to turn off there. We want to keep going where we're going. I can see the end of the runway. So yeah, the kind of the end of the runway here. We lost our taxi lights. All right, we're gonna see what happens here. I need to check this out during the day. See what's going on here. All right. Very interesting. All right, well, it's not really what I wanted to do. So there's no other traffic that I can see. So we're gonna hold up right here. We're gonna go ahead and put the parking brake on. Let's come down here and let's start our run up here. Let's get everything going here. So let's go ahead and turn our transponder to altitude mode. Let's go ahead and bring the throttle up to 1800. All right, temperature looks good. Oil pressure looks good. All right, let's go ahead and lean this out. That looks good. All right, we're about right set. That's perfect almost. Let's check the magnetos. Checking right. We got the drop. That looks good. Go back to both. Left. Got an acceptable drop. Let's go back to both. Oops, went back. I went actually too far. Went to start. There we go. All right. Looking good, looking good, looking good. We like it, we like it, we like it. All right. Turn off the taxi lights. Leave the landing lights on. Come back to 1,000 idle. Let's check full idle. Full idle looks good. Let's come back to 1,000. All right, I think we're ready to go. 29902. Everything is set. Heading bug is set. Radios and all that. Nav is all set. We are set to go. That's one thing, you know, as we sit here and we're just about to talk to ATC to go ahead and let's go ahead and tune the tower while we're sitting here. That's one thing about it's one thing about if you think about games and video games. That's another element that I talked about is, you know, I'm playing that Road 96 game, which is it has very highly political undertones and so on, which and it's fascinating to me that. But now that we play flight sim, you know, that's another thing. There's driving games, there's train, there's farming, there's lawnmower, there's flying. You can use these to really learn and practice and try things. So it absolutely is amazing of what you can actually do with video games. It's not just games. So very cool. Okay, maybe my little soapbox for the night. So all right, let's go ahead and get takeoff clearance.
Prescott Tower, Cessna November Tree, 6 uniform Mike at runway 21 left, ready for departure to the south.
Cessna November Tree 6 uniform Mike altimeter
There we go.
29.92 wind 260 at tree. South departure
All right.
approved. Cleared for takeoff runway
21 left. We got it. We're right here. Let's go ahead and acknowledge that.
Cleared for takeoff runway.
We're set to
21
go.
left, Cessna uniform Mike.
Landing light is on. Altimeter is set. We are ready to go. Parking brake is coming off. Here we go. I see the taxi lights here for 21 left. Let's go ahead and move a little closer here so we can see. There we go. Runway. All right, let's roll. I see the two, I see the left, so I think we're good. Here we go. Airspeed's coming alive. Passing through 40 knots. Don't need any flaps tonight. 55 knots. 60 knots. Nice easy rotate here at night. And we're up. Go ahead and kind of stay a little low here, a little pitch. Go ahead and accelerate here to 70 knots or so. And we'll go ahead and start our climb. So here we go. So a little different tonight. We are night flying. Go ahead now. Start pitching up here for our climb. You can now see, remember, we've got mountains all in this area, so this is one thing that you're going to have. If the stars disappear or any lights that you see out in the horizon disappear, you know there's something between you, and that's a mountain. So, all right, so we are going to climb out here. Tower's probably going to let us go ahead and say we can go ahead and make our turn to the south.
Cessna uniform Mike continue for south departure.
There it is. So we'll acknowledge that.
Prescott Tower, Cessna November Tree, 6 uniform Mike continue for south departure.
So we'll go and let them know, but we'll just go ahead and keep our climb out here. We got some mountains at about 7,500 to the south of where we're heading. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep heading here, straight out, really straight out. Here's the town of Prescott over there. That's Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, Prescott, right there at 11 o'clock. I'm looking at right there. So nice little fast climb here, nothing crazy, just going to get some altitude. Now remember, we're watching that first nav VOR there, there on the OBS, and so that way we can actually go ahead and get on our radial, and then we'll make a turn to heading 168 is where we are heading first. Heading to first. A little different than what the GPS will say, because we're actually going to fly this. We're going to climb out and hit that radial here, so it's a little different. So keep climbing up. So now we're about 1,200 feet above the ground, and actually not above the ground, mean sea level. So our pressure altitude, I can tell you that the ground's actually kind of rising up to meet us. And it looks like our needle's coming alive there on the OBS. There it is, needle's alive. You can see it centering there in this for a bit. I am still.
Cessna uniform, Mike leaving my airspace, frequency change approved.
We'll acknowledge that.
Prescott Tower, Cessna, November tree.
Everything's looking
6
good.
uniform, Mike frequency change.
I'll go ahead and keep up our sky vector over there on my second monitor, but I haven't programmed, like I said, OBS. So all right, we're just about, so we're going to start a slight turn here to the left, so heading a 168 as we continue our climb, because our needle there is now centered. So we are on our radial, so we'll just go ahead and continue a turn here to 168. A little bit of a late turn, but not too bad. There we go. And we'll just fly right over the town of Prescott, Arizona. Now with this, we can go ahead and turn on the autopilot. It should cycle now into a climb here. We've already put in, I'm going to go ahead and drop it down to 400 feet per minute climb. There we go. And away we go. So we'll continue to climb. We're almost to 7,000 feet, so we got to watch out. But there are some mountains straight out here, but again, you can't see them, so we're going to continue our climb here. Everything is looking good. So you can see that we're a little bit off of our heading on our needle here, so we'll come make a slight turn using heading bug here, and I'll come over here. So this is what we're watching right there, that top instrument right here. So we're getting that to center. Once that gets a little bit better centered here, we'll go ahead and switch over to nav mode. So I'm going to go ahead and tell the autopilot here on the heading bug to go ahead and center it, turn a little bit closer to the south. So that line, since it's to the right of center, we need to turn right. So because we're going away from the nav aid, so everything's looking good. That's what we're watching. And you can go ahead, I mean, right now I could actually have the autopilot do the intercept, but we'll go ahead and fly just a little bit here more south, so basically to the right of our trajectory, or how we want to go. And so that way then we can watch it and see how that works. And then we'll come down here and we can turn on nav mode and have the autopilot fly us there. So we're climbing to 9,500 feet. Got the autopilot here climbing at 400 feet per minute. We're over the town of Prescott here. That is Prescott. We're at night here, so I don't know if this view is probably not all that good. Might as well just look out the cockpit. Yeah, there you go. There's Prescott. That is Prescott down there. And away we go. We're climbing out. That needle's centering nice and slowly. Now what's going to happen is as we get closer to the intersection here, this needle will start to center. When that does, then that is then our left turn to head basically to Phoenix. But we're going to be able to see Phoenix at night. You can see Phoenix when we get high enough. You'll be able to see the lights up there. It's not like they can't see the lights. So we are just continuing our climb out, watching to make sure that any stars or lights that we see, which we really not that much out there. Let's go ahead and turn off our landing lights. Let's go ahead and come back on the power just a little bit. 2500, there we go. Watching our speed, everything's good. Okay, see now that we're centered right there, so I'll come down here to the autopilot, go ahead and turn it on nav mode, and now it is now following that. So if I change our radial, the plane will turn accordingly. But we basically used heading mode and went ahead and just flew it right to the nav, and so there we go. So now we're heading out, you know. So yeah. So one of the things that we can do is, this plane has a jack over here. I think it does. Maybe not. I thought it had a jack for music, but you know, we always bring music along. So as we climb up here through 8,300 feet going to 9,500 feet, we could do VFR flight following. Check out the airplanes out there, but we're not going to do VFR. Check out the airplanes. You can see their landing lights, or their anti-smash lights out there. There they are. There's one right here, right above the dot. Another one. We'll see how busy it's going to be. We can make a little bit more ambiance here in the cockpit. Maybe something like, that's the bottom pedestal. Don't really need that, but we can turn those lights way up. Turn these way up. Let's turn those way up, and let's turn these way down. Oh, there we go. Look at that. There. That would be nice. You wouldn't be blinded by the white light. Not sure why. So often they had a floodlight. I'm not sure if you can change the floodlight, but they used to have floodlights up here. That was a red floodlight that would then give you, so you could actually, you know, read and stuff, but it wouldn't blind you. So, because I think we've got floodlights here where we're passing through. We're coming up at 9,000 feet. Everything is looking good. All right, we're getting a little slow, so I'm going to come over here to the autopilot and tell it to stop climbing so much. So we're going to go to 300 feet per minute. That'll give us some more airspeed. That's one thing about the Skyhawk with when you're doing this, is that you have to watch the airspeed and everything. The autopilot, there's no auto throttles or anything like that, so you've got to watch it. So since we're climbing up here, we were getting down to 70, and I really didn't want to just go below 70, so we'll go ahead and just drop that down. That way, pitching it down makes us go a little bit faster. So some of the things that's really neat about simulators on games is that those are the things that you've got to watch for. But I think there was a flood, yeah, right here, but I don't know if you can see. Usually there was a red version. See, that's pretty nice. That actually adds a lot of, I can't go that way, I can only go one way. It's basically, and then there's no like turn it to red. Usually there was like a lot of times the old planes were like a red. So man, that's nice right there. That really kind of makes it look nice. And of course I can give you your view, which will be over here, like this, as we climb up, heading to Phoenix. So this is a flight that I did in real life many times, because after I got my pilot's license, my father, you know, I asked my father, well, so what should I do now? And my father said, hey, if you want to get good, go down and start dealing with the big boys, not only in flying, but also on the radio. And there's actually a YouTuber and pilot who I really enjoy. I mean, he's amazing. And his plane is actually on Flight Sim now, which is the Freedom Fox, so Trent Palmer. He actually made a video one time where he was like the most nervous when he flew into, like, I don't know where he flew into. He probably flew into like Reno International or something like that. And talking on the radio was the thing that he was like most nervous about. It was actually very interesting. So I got comfortable on radios because that's one of the things that I did when I was a kid. When Dad would fly, is that he would have me talk on the radio, and so that was a lot of fun. And I did like talking on the radio. But here we go. So yeah, everything is looking good. I'm just going to go ahead and center the heading bug. So not much to see out here. A little bit of sun still, just a little bit of sun out there. You can see a highway out there with the cars on it. So that's pretty cool. You see the lights of Phoenix. That's Phoenix out there. See that glow out there? The glow out there? That's Phoenix. So we're heading 168, and then out here is an imaginary point where we'll come to Carlo intersection. That's why it says Carlo right down here on our Garmin 530. We're going to come to Carlo intersection, which is also on the VFR sectionals. So that Carlo is the intersection of our two radios. So eventually this needle will start to center, and when they both are centered, we're at Carlo. That's VFR. So this is all visual flight rules. We've got an airplane coming at us right here above us. So everything's looking real good here. I mean, you know, you really can't complain. Well, I guess you could complain, but there's the glow. So everything, I'm comfortable. A lot of people didn't like flying at night just because, well, you can't see. And I like flying at night. It was like a VFR instrument flying because you just didn't have as much visual cues, but it wasn't instruments like in clouds and stuff, right? It was like this, a clear, nice, beautiful night. So yeah, I really did enjoy. I looked at my logbook. I had, once I got my private pilot's license, actually the majority of my flights were this flight down to Phoenix and back at night. Of course, this was all pre-September 11th. And so we would go, I would take a buddy, two buddies, three buddies sometimes in a Cessna 172, and we would fly down to Phoenix Sky Harbor that we're doing here, land, full stop, park at Executive, and since we weren't staying overnight and it was after hours, then you could actually just walk to the terminal and then go have something to eat in the terminal, go back to the airplane, fly back to Prescott. So a lot of fun back in those days. A little different world back in those days. So yeah, a little bit of wind or turbulence here. Some lights coming up here at 11 o'clock. We're actually kind of following a road, so they might have actually modeled, some car lights and all that, so you can kind of see the lights over there. Uh-oh, what happened? What happened? Whoa. Whoa, what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, we had another glitch there with the autopilot. I'm trying to think. Did we already pass Carlo? Yeah, we did. Why? How come we're not picking up? There was a turn there. We passed Carlo. How come? I plugged this in wrong. Look right here. There's our air, or my air. It's 321. We've already passed it. Okay, so let's go ahead. That was my mistake. So we need to make a heading now of about 140. That was why the autopilot. Ooh, that scared me. See? That was my mistake. So let's go ahead here and program in 115.6, which is Phoenix VOR. Go ahead and switch it over. Go ahead and reset this to centered. And now we can go down here and hit Nav Mode. And now we're starting our turn. Ooh, that spooked me there. That's happened just about like on every flight, hadn't it? Something spooked me with the autopilot. But that was my mistake because I didn't have the VOR properly set to 321. I called it out. I know I mentioned it 321, but we didn't, or I made the error and I actually dialed in, it looks like 311 instead of 321, so we were going to be late in our intercept. And so that's why when the autopilot did out, freaked out. Well, what's going on? The autopilot's glitching again. That's why you gotta be monitoring. Most of this is, is monitoring. Well, one of the things is per the sectional now, since we've already gone past that intersection, we can actually start to descend down. So so we can go ahead and descend down to 7,500. So we're gonna go ahead and start our descent down. So we'll just do 500. Doesn't need to be fast or anything. So we'll come back on the throttle a little bit. This will help us out. We'll get there a little quicker now. So descend on down. Everything's looking good except for that little spook there. But it was my air. If you're curious to how far we've got to go, well, Phoenix VOR is 52 miles away. So this is not a long flight. It would take about an hour to get down there. But we're just gonna do a touch and go. See what the weather's like in Phoenix. I wonder if we can pick up Phoenix already. Let's see if we can pick up Phoenix here. So nearest airport list. Let's look at some airports. See if we can see if Phoenix Sky Harbor. Deer Valley's on the list already. Luke Air Force Base. Used to go down there all the time and videotape at Luke Air Force Base. Scottsdale and Phoenix Goodyear. So no, so we're too far out to pick up a Phoenix right now. So we'll descend down here because again, there's a 6,000 foot mountain in our way. So we'll descend down to 7,500. And then when we're about 30 miles out or so, we need to make sure that we're actually really contacting Phoenix. So at about 40 miles out, something like that, we need to make sure we're contacting Phoenix, and then we can really duck under too. So at about 40 miles out, we can really start to descend down to 5,500, then we get closer, 3,500, and then pattern altitude. And Phoenix is at, what is Phoenix? Phoenix is at 1,100 feet, so 2,100 feet is traffic pattern. So everything's looking good now. Speed looks good. Engines look good. Everything looks good. So we got a little bit of time here, so I'll turn on some tunes. I shall be right back. here. We're with you in the cockpit. Check out our DME. We're 42 miles out. Should be able to go ahead and now start to pick up weather in Phoenix. So let's go ahead and see if we can find weather or Phoenix on the list here. It's just like cycling through Deer Valley. We could use Deer Valley if we needed to. Phoenix Goodyear. There it is, Phoenix Sky Harbor, number 4. There we go. So let's go ahead and turn to weather.
Sky Harbor Airport information, Golf 0300 Zulu. Wind 260 at tree. Visibility, 9er. Sky condition, clear. Temperature, 15. Dew point, 13. Altimeter 29er decimal 9er 2. ILS runway 26 visual runway 25 right, and ILS runway 25 left in use. Landing and departing runway 26 runway 25 right, and runway 25 left. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and tune in the tower here. And then what we're going to do is, at about 30 miles out, before we get into their airspace, we're going to go ahead, since we're pretty close, we can start descending down here. So let's go ahead and start descending down. So 3,500. So let's go ahead and descend down to 3,500. 500 feet per minute. Come back on the power here just a little bit. And there we go. Started descent in, because with the chart, we're not really looking where we're at. Oh no, we need to descend down to 5,500. So since we're at night, we want to be the charts in the vicinity. So we're going to descend down to 5,500. There we go. And then once we get real close, then we can do some descending down. But we're going to have to enter the pattern. It's going to be a very interesting, probably. They might even want to fly overhead. So be interesting to see what they want us to do in terms of the traffic pattern here. Like I said, they might have want us in left traffic, whatever we want here. So, but we're about here about 5 more miles or so, about 32 miles out there on the DME. You can see the DME right here. So once we're about 32 miles out, then we'll go ahead and call them up, see which runway they want us to land at, or at least do our touch and go. So I like what's going on. Once we come under 5,000 feet, we'll also go full rich on mixture. That's one other thing that we will do. So we'll go ahead and turn off ATC. Pleasant Valley. I wonder if Pleasant Valley is the new name for what used to be Turf Soaring School, where I did some gliders, flew in a Ronca Champ there at Turf Soaring School. I wonder if Pleasant Valley is now Turf Soaring School. Maybe Turf Soaring School was always at Pleasant Valley. I just always knew it as Turf Soaring School. Alright, definitely see the lights of Phoenix out there, out on the horizon. Getting close, getting closer to our 32 miles here. We go ahead and call whenever we want now, but within 30 miles we need to make a call. So of course we're listening to towers, so there's a lot of traffic going on now. So we'll just wait and see what they want us to do. So we'll go and bring up ATC. We want to do a touch and go here, so let's go ahead. See, big heavies, airliners. Let's go ahead. Oh, I don't want to do that.
Phoenix
I just did full stop.
November tree 6 uniform Mike is tree miles northwest 6,100 feet with Golf to land.
Cessna November tree 6 uniform Mike Phoenix Tower. Altimeter 29.9.
They want us left traffic for runway 26.
Enter left traffic, runway 26.
All right, let's see if we can. I'm trying to 26. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. So yeah, we'll acknowledge that.
Enter left traffic runway 26 Cessna uniform, Mike
All
Mike.
right. Well, we want to go ahead and request a touch and go.
Phoenix Tower, Cessna November Tree, 6 uniform, Mike Mike, 5,700 feet for touch and go.
Cessna November Tree 6 uniform, Mike Mike Phoenix Tower. Altimeter 29.9, wind 260 at tree. Enter left downwind, runway 26.
All right. So there we go.
Fly
Left traffic for runway 26. This is going to be interesting because we're basically almost going, kind of almost opposite of what we want to do.
Phoenix Tower, Skywest Tree 26011 miles northeast, inbound ILS runway 26 approach.
So what we'll do here is we'll actually.
Skywest Tree 260 Phoenix Tower.
I wonder if this is here somewhere.
Altimeter 29.9, wind 260 at tree. Cleared ILS runway 26 approach.
See if we can get it to come up here.
Cleared ILS runway 26 approach.
There we go. That's cool. Turn down the volume on the dash, not in the sim here, not in the Xbox, but actually in the sim. That's cool. All right, so we're at 5,500 feet here, cruising along. RPMs look good. All right, since we're in the airspace, let's go ahead and turn on. I thought I turned off my landing light. I did. Let's turn on the landing light so we're a little bit more visible now for everybody. ATC, other airplanes, all that kind of stuff. So they want us to fly left traffic for runway 26, which means left traffic for runway 26 is basically a flyover for us, and then almost like a break to landing. So that's actually how we're going to fly it. It's kind of weird, but that's how we're going to fly it. So I'm just going to go look at the airport diagram over here. So runway 26 is the northernmost runway. They want us to fly left traffic, so we're going to fly over the airport and then do a left brake to enter the left downwind. That's how we're going to fly it. So it's not really probably what they would do. They probably mostly would have us do right traffic. That's what I did back in the day. I mean, I've landed on runway 26 in the real world. So, but we'll just fly it like this. That way then we don't have any problems. You can hear it just faintly here in the background because I turned it down. But one thing we can do is after our touch and go, we are going to continue to fly VOR out of Phoenix on 115.6. But what we want to do is now we're going to fly a heading of 336. So 336 outbound. So after our touch and go, we'll go around in the pattern, we'll cancel landing instructions, and then we'll head basically to the north and fly outbound on a radial of 336 out of Phoenix. So now that we've got that set, we're basically ready for our return back home. And then once we get close to Prescott, we'll contact Prescott, and then we'll land full stop, taxi back in, everything's good. Then we'll be done with our flight. So you can definitely tell that night flying is like VFR pseudo instrument flying. So you have a lot less, got to look at your instruments, a lot less visual cues. Of course, we're coming up here now on the lights of Phoenix. Once we get close to Phoenix, and we actually then put eyes on, and we have the runway in sight, then we'll continue to fly with the autopilot, but then we'll go into heading mode, at which point then we'll start our pattern, which again, our pattern is we're going to fly the VOR down here. Once we get airport in sight, we're going to fly midfield right over at higher than traffic pattern altitude, and then from there we're basically going to do we'll do a normal traffic pattern. We'll descend down into downwind. That's what ATC wants us to do. Then we'll fly a left downwind, and then a left base, left final, and then we'll take off, and then what we'll do is we'll cancel landing instructions, resume own navigation, and head back north to Prescott. So that's what we're doing. So, as we come in here, go ahead and turn up the volume a little bit again. And yeah, we can just listen to some music here again. Alright, as you see there, I went ahead and continued our descent just above traffic pattern altitude. Traffic pattern altitude is 2,100, so we'll just go down to 3,000 feet here. Just continue our descent as we're entering into Phoenix proper. There's Phoenix Deer Valley. Actually, I've flown over that so many times and I've never landed there. Probably can start to see the taxi lights and stuff of Phoenix Sky Harbor out there. We might get some vectors here. We'll see what happens as we get closer. Come back on the power here a little bit. We continue that descent. Get a nice descent. You can see all the highways. This is the interstate. I can't remember what interstate is. Not 95. I can't remember what interstate it is that comes down from Sedona and Flagstaff and all that. Right over here, it's actually on the VFR chart. Right out here is a big mall. It's on the chart, the Metro Center. I think it might have actually been one of the first the Metro Center might have been one of the first mega malls in the country. I have to look that up. That sounds familiar. See, we got some mountains here. See the mountains that right here in front of us? You can see because they block the lights. And of course, then you can see their shape. So part of the reasons why, just need to make sure. If we look on the chart, those are at 2,600. So they're below us at 3,500. So we're good there. Everything's looking good. ATC will probably start to get busier and busier here.
Clear to land runway 26. Clear to land runway 26 Southwest 2762.
Probably what we'll do is once we start the climb out of Phoenix and we're just heading north, probably just set the autopilot, the climb, heading, get on navigation, and then we'll just turn on some music and just enjoy the flight. It's a beautiful night out. Stars are out. Yeah, it looks great. See some airplanes landing there in Phoenix? You can see their anti-smash lights flashing out there. That's cool. So remember what we're going to do. So our pattern entry, they want us to do left traffic for runway 26, which is the northernmost runway. So the runway closest to us. Phoenix is like 3 parallel runways. So it's got like 25 right and left, and then runway 26. And so we're going to need to, like I said, our plan is to fly right over at this altitude, 3,000 feet. So we're going to be heading really kind of to the south, right over the airport, and then we'll make a left turn and enter downwind. So that's what we're going to do. Stay pretty close. We're going to stay pretty close to the runway, kind of like right in between all the runways, like right over the terminal building. Is how we're going to play this here. If they don't like it, well, you know, they should have given us right traffic for runway 26. So there's no way I can actually change that. So that's what we're doing.
Southwest 2762 exit runway when able.
This is the issue that I have, and I'm a little concerned about, is that these airliners, we need to make sure that we give them plenty of room for them to get off the runway, because if they don't, then we're going to have to do a go around. And I can say if we do a basically fly all the way down and we have to do a go around, I'm not actually going to do a touch and go. I'll just do the go around, cancel the landing instructions, and head north. Never happened to me in the real world, because usually what they would do a lot of times is on downwind, they would actually have me do a 360 on downwind. So I didn't fly way out. I stayed very close to the airport and just did a 360. And then they would say, okay, direct numbers. And then it was like, shoo. And then you would just literally right to the numbers of the runway and land and get the hell out of their way. Right? Because these are commercial aircraft, right? They're on a time schedule and stuff. So you need to get the hell out of their way. A little Cessna 172 that makes a airliner go around, that's an asshole move right there. So, all right, so we definitely got the airport made. We're still on nav mode here, so I'm going to go ahead and click it over, the autopilot, into heading mode. So if you think about it, we're landing runway 26, you subtract 90 degrees from runway 26, right? And so then you get a heading of 170, so which is not much different what we're doing. So we're going to fly here, then we're going to turn to 170. We're going to fly directly over the airport, make a left turn, enter downwind, come and land, and then we're going to head back to the north. That's our plan. We've already got. We could actually switch over while we're coming in here. We could actually, if we wanted to, because we really don't need this anymore. We're not on nav mode, so we could go ahead. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to click the button. You come over here. And then we could set this, go ahead and set this for 336. So now both of them are set to the same thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in, we're going to do a touch and go, we're going to take off, we're going to then basically fly the pattern and then cancel our landing instructions, intercept that radial, and head back north. That's the plan. All right, let's go ahead and make that turn to 170 so we can fly over the airport. The airport is right here, those blue lights. All those blue lights is right above the nose there. If we go into, there we go. Phoenix is pretty much a grid city too, so the roads are really like east, west, north, south. It's night flying, it actually really worked out. So it was actually, navigating was actually quite easy. It was actually spacing, keeping your plane at the right speed, doing what ATC is telling you to do, and so on. So, all right, so traffic pattern, as we talked about already, traffic pattern is 2,100. 500 feet above that would be 2,600. So let's go ahead and dial this down to 2,600, 500 feet per minute. So we'll just go ahead right over the airport, 500 feet above traffic pattern altitude. Then we'll make a turn to the left to 080. That'll get us on the downwind. And we're good to go. Then we'll wait for ATC to tell us vectors for landing. You can see airplanes landing out here. There's an airplane right above the, right on the dot there, right below the dot. You can see its green and red anti-smash lights. So you can see how they're telling them to turn next taxiway and it's not. That's the problem. Sometimes the aircraft just don't get the hell out of the way. So, all right, now you can see the runway. That's our runway. That's where we're going to land, right there. That is where we're. Look at all the taxi lights. That is amazing right there. That is amazing.
Going to 119.75 United 1890.
All right, let's go ahead and turn now to heading of 080. Start our left downwind. So we're right over the other runways now. There's the other runways on the other side of the airport. Not sure why they had to do this on left traffic instead of right traffic, but hey, they're ATC. We might be looking right at an airplane landing here. All right, we are starting the downwind. So let's go ahead. Oh, I hit the wrong button again. Happens so often. Traffic pattern altitude 2000. Oh.
Cessna uniform, Mike, wind 260 at tree. Clear touch and go left traffic, runway 26.
Oh, we're clear. We're cleared. Autopilot comes off.
Clear touch and go runway 26 Cessna uniform.
Let's go ahead and get our outside view so it can help us. So right over there is the runway. I'm slowing us down, slowing us down. Slowing us down. Go ahead and make our turn here. We want to keep it close. We want to keep it tight. Don't want to make a heavy go around. All right, we're within the white arc. First notch of flaps. Second notch of flaps on base. Crossing over the. That's not the runway we're landing at. That's 2.5s. That's not what we want. A little slow here. We're going to go direct numbers now. There's the air. That's the runway we're landing on right there. So we're high. We got the VASI lights there. We're high. So I'm going to come off the power. Airport is made. Going to go full flaps. Concentrating now. 70 knots. Short final. Now we'll just go ahead, just the airplane took off, crossing out there. Still at 70 knots. Give a little bit of power here. Got plenty of runway here, plenty of runway, so there's no reason just to. Here we go. Here we go. Power comes off. Pretty flat landing there. All right. Power comes in. They're real fast there. All right, request full stop. We don't want to request full stop. We're going to go ahead. We're down low. Oh, that was an error. That was an error on my part. We're way below 5,000 feet. We need to be full rich. All right. Ooh, that could have been a problem there. Again, another great thing about simulators. They can make mistakes and all that. All right, look at that. We're down here at altitude. Look at our climb now. 1,000 feet per minute at 100 knots. Look at this thing. This thing is a rocket ship down here at altitude. You get down from the high altitudes and all right, so let's go ahead and cancel landing instructions.
Phoenix Tower, Cessna uniform. Mike, cancel landing intention.
Cessna uniform, Mike, your cancellation is received.
So I'm still flying it now. Haven't turned on the autopilot. I'm still flying it here with the controller. And we are just going to go ahead and We're going to fly an intercept for 336. So we're going to fly about 020 here. Alright, we are above traffic pattern altitude at 2,000 something, or right at traffic pattern altitude. So I am going to go ahead and altitude lock, heading lock on the autopilot. So now what we can do is, now that we're heading back the opposite way, we'll go to 8,500 feet. So let's go over here to this mode. Let's turn this to 8,500 feet. And let's climb out now at 500 feet per minute. And now what we're doing is we're climbing out here to intercept this radial. Both these needles should move. That worked out pretty good. That was pretty good. See, now that we're down here, so now again, once we get to 5,000 feet, we need to lean out the engine. Forgot to go full rich. We could have had a problem there, especially since we were doing a touch and go. You know, we didn't actually have as much power there. So, not really using the checklist. The reason being is the checklists are a little bit, they're not tough to use, but just having a controller and stuff, it makes it a little bit challenging. So, I mean, it really, if I was doing this, I was really like hardcore, I'd probably then have, you know, paper, you know, like I did in the real airplane. So. Alright, just climbing out here. We are watching for our intercept. Oops. Oh! I hit the stick, so turn everything back on. Autopilot comes back on. Okay, everything, let's go back on heading mode. That's good. Okay, we've got a mountain right here in front of us. You can tell there's a mountain right in front of us. This is perfect. There is a mountain right in front of us. So let's go ahead and come about 30 degrees here. You can see it. Look at that. There's a mountain right there. There's a mountain right there. See how the lights disappear? That was perfect. That was great to be able to show you that. That was amazing. All right, let's go ahead and get back on our intercept about 020. Oh, we actually just blew right. We just actually saw that. I'm gonna go ahead and go on nav mode. We'll have the autopilot intercept now. You can see our needles went past. So we'll let the autopilot do an intercept now to 336. So if I was really paying attention, we really would have had a problem then. So we don't really need to listen to ATC now for a while. In the real world, we would. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that down, so it's real faint. All right, so we're climbing up to 8,500, 500 feet per minute. The mountain now is no longer a factor, which is right out the right wing there. So we'll climb up to 8,500, which is almost following the interstate back towards Sedona, and then that we need to branch off onto highway 69 toward Prescott. So we should see, you know, the highway and stuff like that once we get out of the lights here of the big city. All right, so autopilot has intercepted nav at 336 radial outbound. So you can see that now here on the nav mode. It is telling us outbound 336 radial. That's going to get us in sight of Prescott, so then we can talk to the tower and all that kind of stuff once we get up there. So if we want to, you can see that we're actually Phoenix to Mayer. Mayer is actually the little intersection up by Phoenix, or up by Prescott. So we've got a little bit ways to go now. We can actually come down, and if we wanted to at some point, but we can do it down here, is switch this to Drake VOR, which is the VOR right by Prescott. So that's 14.1. Switch it over, and then you can see that we can already pick up that. So we could, if we wanted to, go direct Drake on this right here. So we can do that. We could actually go direct Drake if we wanted to. but we are gonna fly. We're gonna fly straight this way because there's mountains and stuff. We're gonna be high enough so we're not have to worry about those. If we look at the VFR chart, or if I look at the VFR chart here, it's the safest way to go. Because if you go direct, you got to go over some high terrain that's at 8,300 feet. So this keeps us away from all of that. So that's why we'll do it that way. So, all right. Well, with that, I think everything is set up. We're climbing out. I'm going to go ahead and come back here on the power just a little bit for a nice cruise climb. We can come down here and turn off the landing light. We can visually check it out there. So landing light is off. Probably could keep it on, but I don't see much traffic out here. So I think everything's looking really, really good. So I'll be back in the cockpit with you in just a little bit. I'll turn on some music. And so yeah, I shall be right back. Yeah, well, I did it again there. I was looking around, and so basically when you go to look around, you have to hold down the bumper and then move the stick. But if you move the stick, obviously you control the airplane. And so pushed it into a dive there, kicked off the autopilot, but I think we got everything back going good now. So I like what we've got. We're climbing out still, passing through 6,000 feet now, so let's go ahead and start to trim, at least lean out here. Gaining some RPMs there. Gaining some RPMs. There we go. I like that right there. So let's go ahead and lean out the engine a little bit. Help with the fuel flow. We got plenty. We got half fuel, so we're good. It's a short little flight. Airplane right over here at 1 o'clock. That's pretty cool. But yeah, so that's another thing that happens sometimes, you know. There's just so many key button combinations to do things, so kind of breaks from the immersion, but you know, that's what happens. So, all right, let's see, what is that intersection? Our intersection up here at the Mayer intersection is then a 127 outbound. So if we come down here, then we turn this to 127. So it's 125. It's 127 out. So now we know when we actually are going to be getting to the Mayer intersection right there is when both needles are centered and I have them correctly. We're outbound on 336, and this needs to be set at 127 outbound. So there we go, that's set correctly. So there we go. So we're just climbing out, passing through almost 7,000 feet. And the reason being is because as we fly to the north, over to the west of us is some high terrain. So since we're flying at night, we're flying with a western component now that we want to be at evens plus 500, so we'll go to 8,500 feet. That keeps us clear, but just barely clear of the terrain in the area, and so that's why we're going to fly the published routes, so we keep clear of that terrain since it's night. So one thing I have to say, you know, I don't see, and again, there's no view, right? Except for, I mean, you have the view of the lights and all of that kind of, you know, that kind of stuff here. You know, so if we go over here, you can, you know, you can come down, you can see. I mean, that's really neat and all, and it's neat, but it adds a level of stress when flying, and it really makes you then learn as a VFR pilot, as a private pilot, to trust and learn your instruments. You know, it's very, and there's people that die. So, you know, if you watch like Juan Brown and the, you know, his Blanco Lirio channel, and you go back and you study, you know, incidences and accident fatalities in general aviation and stuff, night flying is a level of instrument flying. Yes, it's VFR, but, you know, there is a night checkout because it's a pseudo instrument flying. You just can't see the horizon, so you have to trust your instruments. All right, our speed is now approaching 70, so what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're going to go ahead and make our climb to 300. That way we get some of our speed back for our RPM set. So that's another reason why, you know, it's real fun with the simulators, because, you know, if I do this, what does this do? So that's why, you know, we're gonna make the descent less, so we speed up, because I'm not going to change my throttle settings and so on. Now that we're going faster, there's, you know, the RPMs actually rise a little bit, and you can play with the mixture. You know, if you want to get into that with the you know, where you can get into where you have the prop control, go ahead and do it, play around with it, you know, see what you want to do. So, but as you can see, we're flying out here into the void, into the blackness, because we're going uphill this time, and there's not a lot of glow of Prescott. Prescott's not a very big city, so we're not going to have that to really help us out. Hence why we want to fly this published route here. So that's why we are flying 336 outbound out of Phoenix up here to Mayer, at which we'll pick up then the 127 radial outbound to Drake. That is what we are doing, because there is terrain here, and I am just a VFR private pilot, but I haven't flown since 1992. But these are the things that I remember flying out here in the high desert mountains of Prescott, of Arizona, was night will kill you. It will kill you. And so that is why planning and following, you know, the published routes, because they deem those to be the safest routes, and so that is what we're doing here. So everything's looking real good. It's been a nice flight. We've listened to some tunes. Come down here, everything's looking good. See, it's only like 50 miles, right? We got to Mayer, we've got roughly, what, 37 miles here. We're coming up on our cruise altitude, so we'll speed up here. We'll go ahead and set our mixture again once we're up here at cruise. I'm not worried about fuel consumption. We're not doing a long cross-country flight or anything here. Alright, we're far enough away. Let's see if we can pick up Prescott here. Gotta wait for him to talk. There we go. All right, let's see if we can.
Cleared ILS runway 26 approach Delta 905.
Let's see. Payson. Nope. Prescott is not on the list yet. Estrella Sailport. I've flown glider out of there. Estrella, that's on the south side of Phoenix. All right. Let's go ahead and come back on the power here just a little bit. There we go. Let's come down over here. Pull back on the mixture, lean it out. Oh, we're starting to lose some RPM, so let's richen it up. There we go. All right, everything is looking good. You come over here. We can come over here to the clock. See what our flight time has been. So 1 hour and 40 minutes in the air. Or actually, since we actually turned on the avionics, that's what it's been. So, no, it can't be that long. No. It's kind of weird. But we'll go to local time. 9:50 at night local time. Airplane straight out in front of us. You can see its anti-smash lights there.
Phoenix Tower Skywest 3239 or 12 miles east inbound ILS.
All right, go ahead, turn. It's kind of fun to have ATC load there. You know, we have a little background kind of ambiance. There's the interstate. Go climbing up. We're just following the interstate. Even if you look on the VFR, the VFR chart, that's basically what you do. You follow up to this Cords Lake, and then that's where we make the turn where the interstate continues to the northeast, and we go northwest. So, or actually, we continue straight, but.
ILS runway 26 approach Skywest 3239er.
All right, 8,500.
Cleared to land runway 26 Delta 905.
30 miles to go before our needle should line up. So we've got a little bit of time here. So I'll be back with you in the cockpit here. I'll turn on some music, and I'll see you in a few minutes. All right. All right, well, I'm back with you in the cockpit. The reason being is things are happening. We are 8 miles away from the Mayer intersection here, which is where our two VORs here, our two vector airways are going to intersect. So you can see that we're flying on this one, but this needle is slowly centering to become that white line that's right here on the GPS. But this is what it looks like in radio space. Radio killed the video. No, that's not what it is. GPS killed the VOR navigator. That's what the song is. So you can see that this is starting to center, at which point we'll go on heading mode on the autopilot, switch over then this radio to Drake, recenter it then to about what looks to be about 306, and then take that in. But then we'll be getting pretty close here, so we can go ahead and contact Prescott, and which should be then on the list here. So let's bring up ATC. And so now aircraft's closer to you. We're looking for Prescott. There's Sedona. Oh, it's Ernest A. Love Field in the list. Robin, that's farther away, so we need actually closer to us. There it is, right there. Number 5, Ernest A. Love Field. So we can go ahead and dial into that. We can go ahead and listen to some weather, get that going.
Prescott Airport information, Quebec 0400 Zulu. Wind 260 at tree. Visibility, 9er.
Turn up the
Sky
volume.
condition, clear.
2992, 21 left.
Dew point, 1 tree. Altimeter 29er.9er2. ILS runway 21 left and visual runway 21 right in use.
All right.
Landing and departing runway 21 left.
So we
to
go ahead and
runway
tune the
21.
tower. We're going to want a full stop.
Prescott Tower, Cessna November Tree, 6 Uniform Mike Mike, is 20 miles southeast, 8,500 feet with Romeo to land.
Cessna November Tree 6 Uniform Mike Mike Prescott Tower. Altimeter 29er.9er2 wind 260 at tree. Make right traffic runway 21 left.
All right. So there is our instructions. Let's acknowledge that. Altimeter 2992, make right traffic.
21 left Cessna Uniform Mike
So
Mike.
everything is making us fly over and do right traffic. Not really sure why, but this is another then right downwind, 21 left. So we're gonna fly, we're gonna get the airport in sight, we're gonna go fly right overhead. So that's what we are doing here. If we go direct to Drake, so let's go ahead and go back onto nav mode. I went ahead and reset our VOR. So we're making the turn here. So the needle is centered. So we are going to make that turn to 306 here. Let the autopilot do its thing. Might be able to see. Yep, there is the crossing runways of what is that, like 3 and, no, not 3, it's like 10 and 28 or whatever it is. So that's not the runway we're going to fly over. But we'll just kind of keep heading that. We're basically going to fly right over the airport on the nav route here on the vector airway. But now we're starting to see the lights of the city and stuff, but there's still terrain in the area, so we're not going to descend down from 8,500 until we're probably on the Drake VOR of a good, 5 miles or something like that is what we'll do. So there we are. So we're still 15 miles away. Now we've developed line of sight with the airport, but we don't know what's from these lights right down here. So that's why we're going to wait a bit until we actually get up here by the lights of that road, at which point then we'll start our descent down. And we'll do a slow descent, so we'll pull the power back, we'll go fast, we'll get down about 1,000 feet per minute, pull the power way back. So everything's looking good. So we need right downwind. So again, we're going to cross over, make a right turn this time, right downwind, and pattern into 21 left, which is the runway that we took off from. No problem, we got it. Got the plan. But I mean, the ATC is actually pretty neat because you can do things like you can say, you know, request direction of the airport, and it'll tell you, so you can fly it. So there's some neat things. Even when we once we get into doing some IFR flights, then it becomes a lot more interesting because we'll be higher. We probably have a cloud base we can't see, and so we'll definitely need to do instruments and fly. But the good thing about IFR in the sim is that you can then pre-program in everything. It really, really does work out good. Pre-program in everything, and that way then you can, it's all preloaded into instruments. It's all set up, and it switches for you because you can set up your approaches, your departures, everything like that. And so as you get close, it switches everything over for you. So it actually makes it really, really nice. Now, the interesting thing is 1085, if I remember correctly, since we're landing on 21 left, 1085 is the ILS. So if we come over here and now we dial in 108, and prep that. That's the ILS, the instrument landing system. So we can actually do that. Now, one of the things we can do is come down here to the second nav and dial in 1085 right now, and then go ahead and switch it over. And so we have that also. So we can still use the top one for navigation, and then we can use the bottom one for what our next path is, just to help us with the center line of the runway. And then it's 21 roughly, so 210. So there we go. So we're set up now. That just gives us some help. Helps you in the sim also, but in real life. But we got a beautiful night, not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful, beautiful out here. Let's take a look, huh? I mean, not a cloud in the sky. Well, one of the things that we can do, we can actually come in here, and since we're in the vicinity of the airport, we can go ahead and turn on our landing light. And so that way now we're more visible to the tower, we're more visible to other airplanes. Everything's looking good. So what is that runway? That runway is 12 and 30. So we're looking right up runway. If we look out here, right in front of us, that's runway 30. In lights right there. Gotcha. Couldn't remember the crossing runway. All right, so we're set. We're set to go now. Set to go. So we're going to fly over the airport. So since now we're about 7 miles out, we're really in the vicinity of the lights. We have good visibility. If there's something, the charts don't indicate that there's anything a problem here. So let's go ahead and come over here. And let's get down into traffic pattern altitude. And we're going to climb over, so we're going to go 500 feet above. And now let's all right, so we'll just go ahead and 1,000 foot per minute descent down to 6,500, 500 above traffic pattern altitude. We're descending down. I'm going to add just a little bit of mixture there, a little bit of fuel. Runway Airport's in sight. That's not our runway right there. That is runway 30. So they want us to make a right downwind, so we're gonna have to cross over midfield and then enter the right downwind, just like we did in Phoenix, but it was all left traffic. Why ATC is having us do this, who knows? Maybe that's what they want to do. All right, 7,500 going to 6,500. Landing light is on. Everything is looking good. We're VFR on the old transponder there. So gear, our gas, undercarriage, mixture, prop, seat belt, lights, everything's looking good. The airport is in sight here. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into heading mode. I'm gonna go ahead and turn just a little bit to the right, fly right over where I think the control tower is at, right about there. Away we go. Let's go ahead and turn off ATC. We're not really going to need that for a little bit. All right, we're coming up to 6,500, 500 feet above traffic pattern altitude. Let's go start adding some power. Nice and slow with the pattern here, just above the white arc. Alright, since we're in heading mode, one of the things that we can do also is come over here and go ahead and turn this to the ILS. And again, that is 2-1 is what we're landing on, so that will help us right there. Alright, traffic pattern altitude, or 500 feet above traffic pattern altitude. Everything is looking good. Let's go ahead and go out of the aircraft and take a look. So there is runway 30, we're crossing midfield. We're going to make a right turn to make right traffic. That is what they want us to do, make right traffic from runway 21 left. Looking good. Come over here. There we go. There is 21 right. And there is the end right there. That is 21 left, the end of 21 left right there. So we'll fly out over here. We'll make just a nice pattern here. It's nighttime. We don't have a lot of lights. We could use the ILS if we want to. So there we go, flying over. Flying over the runway. We'll go out here for a little bit longer. We could actually, once we do that, we could come over here. Well, since we're over field, let's go ahead and now traffic pattern altitude. To 6,000 feet. Let's go ahead and start our right turn. It's right to go on the downwind, which is heading 030. Come off the power since we're in a descent now. Take a look out here. We'll see the airport come out underneath the wing here. There it is out there. All right, everything's looking good. We're downwind now.
Uniform, Mike, wind 260 at tree. Cleared to land runway 21 left.
That's us. All right, clear to land.
Cleared to land runway 21 left Cessna uniform, Mike.
That's us. So since we're night, we're in traffic pattern altitude, we'll just go ahead and now take the downwind here. So everything's looking good. 80 knots. So we'll just extend out here if we want to go take a look. Airplane landed right there. Look at that. There's an airplane right there. Landed. Now what we can do is we can shoot like a modified instrument approach since we can use this. So what we'll do is we'll continue the downwind here until this needle comes up. See, it's coming up now because that's the glide slope. That's the angle right here. So we'll go ahead and let that actually come up, which means we're actually below the glide slope. And then we'll go ahead and make our turns. Let's add some power here. Getting a little slow. $70 knots, all right. There's nothing wrong with that, but I just wanted to be just a... Now what we can do is now we can use the ILS, but I will not shoot the ILS. I won't use the autopilot to actual land. So, all right, so let's go ahead. Now we're below, so let's go ahead now and start to turn inbound. So now we're on base. And since we are in the white arc, let's go ahead and put flaps 10 degrees. There is our airport out there. Let's add just a little bit of power here. So there is our runway. You can see all the meatball and all that flashing out there. We're going to be landing on 21 left. Remember that, 21 left. There we go. And now this needle in our OBS here, this is now going to be for the runway center line. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and tell the autopilot, and we'll go ahead and go to about 45-degree intercept. There we are. All right, runway is in sight. We've got it right here. Autopilot is coming off. All right, so this is all us now. All right, kind of blew that turn a little bit. Come back in here. And we'll just kind of shoot, like I said, a modified ILS. We'll use the ILS so you can watch those needles there in a VOR. So you can see we're high. That's okay. I like being a little high. You can see now we're centered, coming centered up onto the runway center line. You can see that needle centering. 70 knots. I like what I see. There we go. We are now set up. I am flying it with the controller here. Looking good on center line. We're still high, but we're in a light general aviation aircraft, so being high is good, especially nighttime here. I would much rather be high. We also have the VASI lights out there on the left. We are 3 white, 1 red. That's now we're all white, so we're definitely high. No problem with this. We're a little slow too, so that's why we kind of got a little flat there. So we'll just kind of pitch the nose down back to 70. Come off the power a little bit. We can also use flaps to slow down. This is a long runway, so there's no real reason here to. We'll do a full stall landing though. We'll do a full stall landing. So, all right, we're high, so I'm gonna go ahead and add another notch of flaps. I can then pitch the nose down. Still go ahead and pitch for 65, 70, something like that. 21 left. We were cleared to land. Landing light is already on. Enter marker. That's what that beeping is. Alright, got plenty of runway. I don't need full flaps. Let's fly it down here. Start looking way down at the end of the runway so you get some depth perception. Go ahead and start a flare. Power off. There we go. Nice full stall landing there. Look at that. That was... Now, because we don't have any taxi lights down here, we...
Mike, turn next taxiway.
Yep. I'm gonna turn next taxiway, trust me. But I gotta see it here first. There it is. It is so hard right here to see where this taxiway... Is that like a big taxiway right here?
Cessna uniform, Mike, turn next taxiway.
I'm trying here, buddy. But you got real crappy runway lights here. And taxiway lights.
Cessna uniform, Mike, contact ground on 121.7.
All right, good. I'll acknowledge that.
121.7 for Cessna uniform, Mike.
I can't see. Oh, here we go. Here's the hold markers. Wow, okay. Man. All right, let's put on the parking brake. Let's turn on some more lights here. Okay, sure. Looks good. All right, let's contact ground.
Prescott ground, Cessna November Tree 6 uniform, Mike taxi to parking.
Cessna November Tree 6 uniform, Mike taxi to general aviation parking via taxiway.
I don't know. It's not where we're going.
1 left Delta cross runway 30.
We'll acknowledge that, but that's not where we're going.
Taxiing to general aviation parking using taxiway Alpha cross runway 21 left Delta cross runway 30 Cessna uniform, Mike.
Okay, here we go. We're going back to where we started. That's what I even told the sim to do. All right. Well, we'll just taxi back. Now we can clean up the aircraft. So flaps coming up. We can go ahead and turn off the transponder. There's the tower. So we'll taxi back to where we started. Shut her down. That will be our flight here that we did from Prescott down to Phoenix with a touch and go and back to Prescott. See the beacon out there? Airport beacon. I could definitely understand how, you know, there needs to be some upgrades with airport and taxiway markings. I can see why people, I guess probably here, we'll go ahead and exit right here. Why people fly the bigger airports. Because you've got the better, probably lighting and all that kind of stuff. All right, we'll just taxi right down here. We're on a ramp here, so we'll go ahead and make a turn here. Come to a stop. Put the parking brake on. And we can go ahead and turn off the strobes, turn off the nabs, turn off taxi. We're still operating it, so we'll go ahead and keep the beacon on. Come over here. There we go. She is shut down. Now we go ahead and turn off the alternator, turn off the turn off the avionics. There's our flight. An hour and 36. One takeoff, one landing, one touch and go. Not a bad flight there. I have to say that was a very nice flight. Nice flight. Very good, very good. Well, thank you for joining on this Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 on the Xbox Series S, where we flew down from Prescott down to Phoenix and back, which is an in real life flight that I did back in the 1990s. So that is amazing. But thanks for joining. Remember, thumbs up because you are amazing. Go out, tell somebody else they're amazing, put a smile on their face. Also, click that like button to activate the algorithm. And then I will see you next time. And remember, I'm your favorite gamer's favorite uncle. I am Uncle Mike.
It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be the great outdoors.